Hi there. If you'll stick with me for about 5 minutes, I will show you how to draw flowers less like the first one and more like that one in your sketchbook. You'll need a pencil, a white pen, a brush pen filled with really, really watered down ink, and probably the world's crappiest eraser. So, the best way to draw flowers, especially that look more realistic, is by starting with a little bit more chaotic of uh, a beginning, if that makes sense, where you, instead of doing perfect circles like what you think they are, drawing them how they actually look. So this, I did the big kind of wonky circle where it's kind of a little bit at an angle and more like an oval than a circle, and then edged that center out a little bit more. I started drawing the petals around, and those as well. The less even that you draw those, the better. Draw some spaces in there. Draw some sticking behind each other. Not all flowers are perfectly spaced and even, so this is the place where getting a little bit more chaotic can be fun and letting it be a little bit more controlled chaos, if that makes sense. Where you're staying within the bounds of those circles and drawing your petals around and not going really beyond those circles. And the more stretched out ovals that you make and stuff like that, the more perspective that you can force into the image, kind of like those side flowers that I have, where they look like they're sitting to the side. And that's, again, just making sure that you're following that. And here, obviously, I'm starting to ink in stuff. I forgot to say you'd need a regular ink pen if you're starting with a pencil, and outline the lines that you really want. Erase some of the more white noise type lines in the background, and just kind of start going in and filling in. Like in the center of the daisies, where I put a little bit of shadow and stuff like that. That's kind of, helping bring that daisy to life. And they have that little pit in the center where it's going to be shadowed on that upper lip, not the bottom lip, so that you have a better perspective. Here, obviously just start adding little chaotic lines on it. Honestly, the more scribbly sometimes, the better. Um, it tends to look a lot better per se. And I honestly, I'm just going through and sketching quick little lines down for the bottom part of it. Again, just really scribbling and playing and letting the way my hand wants to move help shape what's on the thing, rather than trying to force my hand into a, perfect flower looking, position. I guess that was a terrible explanation. But yeah, anyways, so now I'm going in with that water pen. Like, you can use regular paint too and just water it down or whatever. And you don't have to have a toned paper or anything. You can tone your paper, like, do a whole wash over the paper and bring it down. And that'll help also give life and dimension to it, where you're starting at a middle tone and then darkening in where you want the dark and then the light. And it makes it a little bit easier to kind of judge where you want darks and lights too, when you have that middle tone already, and like how much darker you want to go. And considering these ones are daisies, obviously not too dark, because they're a fairly light flower, but it's just kind of going in and playing. The shadow, we're playing and adding in shadows where that they would be. Think of where the sun's shining down and where those shadows are going to be the biggest. And then obviously the ground is going to be one of your darkest spots, and allows for, even more depths to go in. Again, just adding a little bits here and there and doing that. Now, obviously, a white pen is going to help bring out highlights, but you don't have to have it. Like, obviously, like, that's fairly clearly, a decent daisy without the white highlights. But I love how this just kind of like makes it pop even more, like it's ready to come off of the page, even though this is just a sketchbook. And you don't have to make it look perfect. It just makes you play in your sketchbook a little bit more when you like what you see a little bit more.